That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. We're going to continue reading here from the Lost Book of Enki. Trying to find where I left off. I just had it. How could this fucking page change when I haven't even been on the page? I had it set right to where we were at. Here it is. All right, now I got to back to where I just scrolled up a little bit. Now this is the account of the judging of Alalu and of the happenings thereafter on earth and on Lamu. In his reed hut, Anu was hurting. In the reed hut to him, Enki applied healing. In his reed hut, Alalu was sitting. Spittle he spat from his mouth. So he's sitting there like, spitting shit everywhere. In his innards, the malehood of Anu was like a burden. Ugh, that sounds gross. In his innards, the malehood of Anu was like a burden. He had the malehood of Anu inside of him. With Anu's semen were his innards impregnated, like a female in travail, his belly grew. A dude got pregnant like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Anu, like the god of the Anunnakis. Oh, God, I'm sorry, dude. I feel for you. I mean, maybe you should, keep the back door closed more often. I don't know. Ugh. This is some sick stuff in here. On the third day, Anu's pain subsided. His pride was greatly hurting. To Nibiru, I wish to return. Yeah, get me out of here with these ass fuckers, please. To his two sons did Anu say, beforehand upon Alalu, there must be a judgment, a sentence, the crime befitting must be imposed. By the laws of Nibiru, 7 judges were required, the highest rank of them to preside. In the square of Eridu, the heroes were assembled. The trial of Alalu they were observing. For the 7 who judged, 7 seats were provided. And they provided the tallest seat of all to Anu. Yeah, because he's a fucking giant, right? To his right was seated Enki. On the left of Anu, was seated Enlil. On Enki's right, Anzu and Nungal were seated. Abgal and Alagar to the left of Enlil sat. Before these 7 who judge Alalu was brought, his hands and feet were united. Enlil was first to speak. In fairness, a wrestling match was held. Alalu, the kingship to Anu, was forfeited. What say you, Alalu? Enki asked him. In fairness, the wrestling match was held. The kingship I forfeited, Alalu said. Having been vanished, Alalu, an abominable crime performed. He bit the malehood, the cock of Anu, and swallowed it. I'm not making this up. It literally says this. So he did a Mike Tyson on him, only he didn't go for the ear. He went right to the cack and bit the fucker off and swallowed it. You heard that about, like, what was it? The Isis, Osiris, Horus thing, Like Set cut off the penis of Horus or something like that and fed it to this fish. I mean, what was up with these guys? I'll make sure that fucker never comes back. Cut his cock off. Feed it to a fish. Jesus. Thus, Enlil made an accusation of the crime. Death is the punishment, Enlil said. What do you say, Alalu? Enki, his father by marriage, asked. There was silence. Alalu did not answer the question. We all witnessed the crime. Alagar was saying judgment must be in accordance. If words you wish to utter, speak before the judging, Enki to Alalu said. In the silence, Alalu slowly began to speak. On Nibiru, I was king. By right of succession, I was reigning. Anu was my cupbearer. The princes he aroused. So he turned on the males, the princes. To a wrestling match, he challenged me. For 9 counted orbits, I was king on Nibiru. To my seed, kingship belonged. On my throne sat Anu himself. To escape death, I made a dangerous journey to the distant earth. For the salvation of Nibiru, I, Alalu, discovered the alien planet. Return to Nibiru I was promised, in fairness the throne to regain. Then to earth came Ea, the one by compromise, the next to reign Nibiru he was designated. Then came Enlil, the secession from Anu to himself he claimed. Then Anu came, and he tricked Ea a lot, and Enki, the Lord of the earth, he was proclaimed. Of earth, not Nibiru, to be the master. Saying, this is your domain. That's why Ea, earth, is called earth. It's the realm of Ea. That's what it means. Nobody ever thinks of where that term comes from or why we call the earth, earth. It's the realm of Ea. The first 2 letters of earth are Ea. Ea. Hello? If that's not enough to bitch slap you out of your comatose state, I don't know what is. And just people go through their everyday lives never even knowing that fact or even, questioning it. But it's a fact. Of earth, not Nibiru, to be the master. Then to Enlil, the command of earth was granted. Enki was delegated to the distant Abzu. My heart of all that was aching, my chest from shame and anger was bursting. Then Anu placed his foot upon my chest and it began to tread upon my aching heart. In the silence, Anu spoke up. By royal seed and law, by fair wrestling, did I gain the throne. My malehood you bit off and swallowed. My offspring line to discontinue. Enlil spoke up. To the crime the accused admitted, let the judgment come. Let the punishment be death. Death, said Alagar. Death, said Abgal. Death, said Nungal. Death to Alalu by itself will be coming. What he had swallowed in his innards, death will bring. Enki said, let Alalu rest of his days on earth be imprisoned. Anzu was saying that their words Anu was contemplated. Anger and pity engulfed both of them. To die in exile, let this be his judgment, Anu was saying. So in other words, banish him to earth. And that would tie into the whole thing we were talking about earlier. They banished Alalu to earth and then created the etherical barrier the valent radiation belts around him here. At least that's how I understand it. Very interesting. We'll see if this indeed tells us that. That's what I understand, though. In amazement, the judges at each other glanced. What Anu was saying that they wondered. Neither on earth nor on Nibiru shall the exiling be, Anu was saying. On the way there is the Lamu planet. With waters and an atmosphere it is endowed. Enki, as Ea, thereon made a pause. Of it as a way station, I have been thinking. That's supposedly supposed to be Mars, I believe. The way station was Mars, from what I understand. Its net force is less than that of Earth forceful, an advantage and wisdom to be considered. In the celestial chariot, Alalu shall be taken. On my departing from Earth, with me he shall make the journey. Around the planet Lamu we shall make the orbit. To Alalu a sky chamber we shall provide. To the planet Lamu in it he will be descended. Alone on a strange planet in exile he shall be. His days to his last himself shall count. Now, this, what did he refer to it as? The sky chamber? Could that possibly be what, this guy found on Mars? Could that be what the face on Mars is? Highly interesting that, they would banish him there, the way station. We know that they referred to the Mars as the way station. Very interesting that we have Cydonia on Mars, which is what ancient Mesopotamia, what is now Iraq, used to be called. Iraq, Cydonia, Mesopotamia. It's located on the 33rd degree parallel on Earth. Cydonia on Mars is also located on the 33rd degree parallel, and that's where these pyramids on Mars are also located. It's very likely that that's what that was. Thus did Anu utter the words of judgment. In solemnity, the words were intended. By unanimity, it was a unanimous decision, let's just say that, to impose this judgment upon Alalu. In the presence of the heroes, it was announced, let Nungal be my pilot to Nibiru, there from chariots bearing heroes again to earth to pilot. Let Anzu join for this journey, so that he can take charge of the descent to Lamu. Oh, Lamu will be in charge of the descent down to the planet. So did Anu commandments utter. On the morning they departed, they were ready. All who departed by boats to the chariot were ferried. A place for landings on firm soil you must prepare, Anu to Enlil was saving. How Lamu as a way station to utilize the plans to utilize this you should be making. There were farewells, both joy and sorrow. Limping, Anu was limping when he embarked on his chariot. He had his hands, with his hands he tied Alalu, and then drug him into the chariot, the spacecraft. Then to the heavens the chariot soared up, and the royal visit had ended. They made an orbit around the moon, and Anu was enchanted by the sight of the moon. Toward the red-hued Lamu, which is, again, Mars. They say here it's red-hued. There you go. And they circled around it twice. Lower towards the strange planet they came, mountains, sky high, and tears in the surface they noticed. Where Ea's chariot had once landed, they saw that it was located by a lakeside. Slowed by Lamu net power in the chariot, the sky chamber, they readied. Anzu, its pilot, then unexpected words said to Anu, with Alalu to the firm soil of Lamu I shall descend. With the sky chamber to the chariot to return, I wish not. So he's saying he wants to stay down there with him. With Alalu on the strange planet I shall stay. Until he dies, I shall protect him. When he dies of his innards poison, as befits a king, him I shall bury. As for me, I shall have made my name. Anzu, they will say, against all odds, to a king in exile, a companion he was. He saw things by others unseen. On a strange planet, he faced unknown things. Anzu, they will to the end of time shall say, has fallen like a hero. There were tears in the eyes of Alalu. There was amazement in the heart of Anu. Your wish shall be honored. To Anzu, Anu said, hereby let a promise by me to you be made. By my raised hand to you I this swear. On the next journey a chariot by Lamu shall circuit and orbit. Its skyship to you shall descend. If alive it shall find you, the master of Lamu you shall be proclaimed. So he's making him the king of Mars here. When a way station on Lamu's shell has been established, its commander you shall be. Anzu bowed his head. So be it. To Anu he said. Into the sky chamber Alalu and Anzu were ushered. With eagles' helmets and fishes' suits they were provided. Meaning suits they could fly in space in and suits they could go underwater in. With food and tools they were supplied. From the circling chariot the skyship left and departed. Its descent was what they watched its descent from the ground. Then from view it disappeared, and the chariot to Nibiru continued. I lost my place. This thing just scrolls down on me sometimes. Here it is. For 9 years was Alu the king on Nibiru. For 8 years, Iridu he commanded. In the 9th Shar, or year, to die in exile on Lamu was his fate. Now, this is the account of the return of Anu to Nibiru. So this is a new segment we're starting here, a new part, the account of Anu's return to Nibiru. And how Alalu on Lamu was buried, how in Lil on earth the landing place built. On Nibiru for Anu there was a joyous welcome. Anu gave his account to the council and the princes of what had happened. Neither pity nor vengeance from them all he sought. To discuss the tasks ahead of them, he instructed them all. And he outlined a great vision that he had. He assembled a great vision to let the council know about. He wanted to establish way stations from Nibiru to Earth and have all of the sun's family in one kingdom. The first on Lamu to be fashioned, the moon, for the plans he also considered on the other planets or their circling host stations to set up. So he wanted to set up stations on moons on other planets as well. And have a constant caravan of ships just going back and forth between every planet. Sounds smart to me. We will bring the gold from Earth without any interruptions to Nibiru. Perhaps we will find gold elsewhere. So they're saying, oh, we're going to bring all the gold from Earth, and maybe we'll find it on some of these other planets where we have way stations set up as well. The counselors, the princes, the servants, all considered Anu's plans. The salvation of Nibiru they saw in the promise of his plans. Savants and commanders' knowledge of the celestial gods perfected. They added a new kind of rocket ship, so a new technology to their chariots and skyships. So their technology apparently has already evolved at this point of the telling of the story. Heroes were selected for the tasks. I'm guessing heroes. They keep saying heroes. I'm guessing those are like, people of extraordinary strength. And for the task, there was much to learn. The plans were beamed over, I guess, sent by laser fax machine, laser email to Enlil and Enki. And they were told to hurry their preparations on Earth. On Earth, there was much discussion of what had happened and what there is to be done. Enki, Alligar, to be of Eridu, the overseer, made his own steps to the Abzu he directed. Where to obtain gold from the earth's bowels, he then determined. What heroes to the task are needed, he calculated. What tools will be required? An earth splitter with cleverness, Enki designed. An earth splitter, something that would open up the earth. There within the earth to make a gash and reach its innards by way of tunnels. Could this be where these ancient underground tunnels that have been found under the earth, found in places like Dallas when they first built the city sewer system here? They found tunnels that were older than there had been people here, laser etched tunnels under the city of Dallas. Found these little green creatures in there. Yeah. That which crunches and that which crushes was the name of the machine. Of other matters, Nibiru's savants he had to contemplate. So of matters in health and well-being of heroes, he needed to listen. To the heroes, Earth's quick circuits were upsetting. Yeah, they were not happy about the quick orbit because, they're getting older faster. So they're trying to mine this gold, and they're getting older much quicker than they would on their planet, so they can't get the job done. And that's what led to the creation of mankind as a slave race. Earth's quick day and night cycles were causing dizziness to the heroes. The atmosphere, though good, was lacking in some things and too abundant in other things. Of the sameness of the food, the heroes were complaining. We eat the same thing all the time. Oh, we eat fucking chicken. Enlil, the commander, was afflicted from the heat of the sun on earth. For coolness and shade, he was longing. While in the Abzu, Enki was making preparations. Enlil in his skyship was surveying the extent of Eden, Edin. That's the place where they were setting up Eden, Edin, what later became what we know in biblical terms as Eden. See? Of mountains and rivers he took account, of valleys and plains he measured. He wanted to establish in Eden a landing place for the rocket ships. So the rocket ships that landed Earth landed in a place called Eden. Give me a fucking break sandwich. God damn. Enlil, by the heat of the sun, was afflicted and was searching more for a coolness and a place of shade. To the snow-covered mountains of the Eden's north side, he took a liking. The tallest trees he ever saw grew there in a cedar forest. There above a mountain valley with power beams, he flattened the surface. Is that what the tops of the mountains in Brazil, you know, where the Nazca lines are at? Where the whole tops of the mountains are just sheared off as if by a laser? Is that what he did? Flattening the surface of this mountain valley? Very well could be. Great stones from the hillside the heroes quarried and cut to size. To uphold the platform with skyships, they carried and placed them there with satisfaction. Enlil was satisfied with the handiwork. A work beyond belief, indeed it was, a structure of everlasting. An abode for himself on the crest of a mountain was his desire. Of the tall trees in the cedar forest, long beams were prepared. Of them, the construction of an abode for himself he decreed. The abode of the north crest, he named it. On Nibiru, a new celestial chariot was soaring off for preparation. New kinds of rocket ships, skyships, and that which Enki had designed was transporting people. A fresh group of 50 from Nibiru was taking. Chosen females were among them. By Ninmah, exalted lady, were they commanded. In succor and healing they were trained. Ninmah, exalted lady, a daughter of Anu she was, a half-sister, not a full sister of Enki and Enlil she was. She was greatly learned in the treating of ailments. She excelled in that. To the complaints from earth, she gave much attention. A healing she prepared. The course of prior chariots on tablets of destinies were recorded. And Nungal did follow its pilots. Unharmed, it reached the celestial god Lamu. It circled the planet, slowly to its surface descended. A faint beaming group of heroes followed. Ninmah was going with them. They found Anzu beside a lake shore with signals beaming from his helmet. Anzu himself was without motion, prostrate. He lay dead. Ninmah touched his face. To his heart she gave attention. From her pouch she took out the pulsar. Upon Anzu's heart pulsing she directed. From her pouch she took out the emitter, its crystals, life-giving emissions on his body she directed. 60 times did Ninmah direct the pulsar. 60 times did the emitter. So this is some sort of crystal that puts out a frequency, and I guess after 60 pulses of the frequency, it brings an organic life form back to life. These guys have the technology to bring people back to life. Well, no wonder they don't want us to get our hands on this alien technology. There you go. I mean, because, boy, it would suck if we were able to just go over to flash a crystal in front of somebody's heart 60 times and make them come back to life, isn't it? That would just suck for this planet. Man. On the 60th time, Anzu opened his eyes. And he began to talk. Gently upon his face, Ninmah poured the water of life and wetted his lips with it. Gentle into his mouth, she placed the food of life. Then the miracle happened. Anzu rose from the dead. They inquired to him about Alalu. Anzu told them of Alalu's death. He led them to a great rock protruding heavenward from the plain. There he told them what happened. Alalu, soon after the landing, began to scream from unremitting pain. From his mouth, his innards he was spitting. In agony, he peered over the wall. He's puking his guts out, literally. Thus, Anzu was saying to them, he led them to a great rock, like a mountain from the plain, heavenward uprising. In the great rock, a cave I found. Alalu's corpse therein I hid. Its entrance with stones I covered. So Anzu was saying to them, as they followed the rock and they removed the stones and entered the cave. Inside, they found what remained of Alalu. He who once on Nibiru was a king was a pile of bones in a cave now. The first time in our annals, a king not on Nibiru has died. Not on Nibiru was he buried. So, said Nimma, let him in peace for eternity rest. They then again covered the cave's entrance with stone. The image of Alalu upon the great rock mountain with beams they carved. So, somewhere on Mars, there are probably still evidence of that rock carving done with lasers. Now, some of the rock carvings we've seen on Earth appear to be done with lasers. Stuff we've seen in Egypt, stuff we've seen in South America, all over the place. Samir. So there again, whoever these people are, they had that technology. They showed him wearing an eagle's helmet. Oh, I see what they're saying. Now I get it. Okay. So on top of the great mountain, oh my God, this is on top of the face. The face on Mars is Alalu's face. That's why it's on the 33rd degree parallel in Cydonia, where it just happens to be where Enki set up the landing for Eden. Where was that? The 33rd degree parallel on Earth in Mesopotamia, formerly known as Cydonia, Iraq, who we've bombed and blown the shit out of and taken all their antiquities because they can't allow this info to get out to everybody. And he had a helmet on. And the guy on the face on Mars has what? A helmet. It's unbelievable. That's exactly what it was. It was a helmet. And they're saying right here that they laser etched into this rock on this mountain an image of Alalu wearing a helmet with his face uncovered. My goodness. Let the image of Alalu forever gaze up towards Nibiru, toward Earth, whose gold he discovered. That explains the face on Mars and why they've wanted to cover that up for years. There you go. So Ninmah, exalted lady, in the name of her father Anu, did declare, as for you, Anzu, to you, Anu, the king of his promise, he shall be keeping. 20 heroes with you here shall remain. The way station's building to begin. Rocket ships from Earth, the golden ores, shall here deliver. Celestial chariots from here, the gold to Nibiru, shall then transport. Hundreds of heroes shall make their abode on Lamu, on Mars. You, Anzu, shall be their commander. Thus did the great lady, in the name of her father Anu, to Anzu say, my life I owe to you, great lady. My gratitude to Anu shall not have any limits. From the planet Lamu, the chariot departed toward Earth and continued on its journey. So that's the end of, I guess, the fourth tablet. The next chapter is the synopsis of the fifth tablet. And we'll pick up on that next time on the broadcast. Man, oh man, oh man. Very, very interesting stuff there tonight. The whole thing about I didn't realize that the explanation for the face on Mars was in the Sumerian tablets. I never realized that. That's insane. Learn something new every day, or you should, right? Let's get into it now. Synopsis of the fifth tablet. Ninmah arrives on Earth with a group of female nurses. She delivers seeds to grow elixir-providing plants. What? Marijuana, psilocybin, peyote, hemp. Yeah, I mean, it's probably what it was. She brings in little news of their out-of-wedlock son, Ninurta. And the Abzu, Enki establishes an abode and mining sites. In the Eden, Enlil builds space and other facilities. He's building a spaceport. Nibirians on Earth, who on Earth are called the Annunaki or the Annunaki, number 600. So there were 600 originally brought down to Earth. I did not know that. 300 Igigi operate the facilities on Lamu or Mars. Exiled for date raping Sud, and Lil learns of the hidden weapons. Date raping Sud? Really? It really said date raping in the Sumerian text? Date rape, huh? Okay. Yeah. I mean, really? Really said date rape in there? I think old Zecharia might have been hitting the cocaine when he wrote that. I don't know. Maybe he misinterpreted. Oh, yes, it says date rape. That's what it says right there. Date rape, don't you know? Sumerians were all into date rape. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. So exiled for date raping Sud, Enlil learns of the hidden weapons. Sud becomes Enlil's spouse. And then Enlil bears a son named Nanar. Ninmah joins Enki in the Abzu and bears him daughters. Nenki, Enki's spouse, arrives with their son Marduk. See, they named their son Marduk here. Going back to the conversation we were having with the email from Cherry earlier. Clans form on Earth as Enki and Enlil beget more sons. Beset by hardships, the Igigi launch a coup against Enlil. Ninurta defeats their leader Anzu in aerial battles. These are what I interpret to be like the Virmanos that are talked about in Eastern mythology. The Annunaki, driven to produce gold faster, mutiny. Enlil and Ninurta denounce the mutineers. Enki suggests to artificially fashion primitive workers. So here we go. Now we are jumping smack dab into the fifth tablet. From the planet Lamu, the chariot departed towards Earth. The journey continued. Around the moon, they made an orbit and went there to explore a way station. Around the Earth, they made more orbits and slowed down so they could have a splashdown in the water. In the waters beside Eridu, Nungul brought the chariot down to a quay by Enlil constructed. They stepped off. Boats were no longer needed. So there was some sort of platform built of the spaceport there by the water, probably in the Red Sea. Enlil and Enki, their sister, with embraces greeted with Nungul, the pilot. They locked arms. The heroes, male and female, by the present heroes were greeted with shouts. Everything that was brought on the spaceship was quickly unloaded. Rockets, skyships, and the tools that were designed by Enki, and provisions and food of all kinds. Of all that transpired on the Biru, the death, Ninmah was told of the death and burying of Alalu by her brothers. She also related to them the story of the way station on Lamu that was being commanded by Anzu. Enki uttered his approval of that, and Enki's words gave them bewilderment. That is a news decision. His word is unalterable. Ninmah to Enlil was saying, for the malady's relief I have brought. Ninmah to her brother said, from her pouch, a bag of seeds she brought. Seeds to be sown in the soil. A host of bushes shall sprout from the seeds, and they will produce a juicy fruit. The juice shall form an elixir, for drinking by the heroes it shall be. Their ailments it will chase away, and it will make their mood happier. In a cool place, the seeds need to be sown. By warmth and water, they need nourishing. So Ninmah to her brothers did say, the place that for this is perfect, I will show you, Enlil said. And it's, of course, this is probably going to be the Eden, Edin. It is where the landing place was fashioned, where an abode of cedar wood I have made. In Enlil's skyship, the two of them, Enlil and Ninmah, soared towards the sky. To the landing place in the snow-covered mountains by the cedar forest, brother and sister went. On the great stone platform, the skyship landed. To Enlil's abode they went. Once inside, Enlil embraced her. With fervor, he kissed Ninmah. Oh, my sister, my beloved, Enlil to her whispered. By her loins, he grabbed her. Uh-oh. Keep it in the family. This is where the interbreeding started. Into her womb, his semen he did not pour. I got to stop right there. I got to say this before I can go any further. That is the greatest thing I've ever been able to say on radio in my almost 4 years now of doing this show. I got to say it one more time. You ready for this? Greatest thing I've ever been able to say on the show. Here it is.
Into her womb, his semen he did not pour. He did not pour her semen. Because she waited for mine. Because she wanted to suck Satan's cock. Yes.
Into her womb, his semen he did not pour. Oh, that's just beautiful. Poetry. So basically, he had sex with his sister, but he didn't come inside of her. He pulled out. Well, good job. I can't believe Sumerian text went as far as to tell us about pulling out. You know, there's a message in the Sumerian text. Yeah, there is a message in the Sumerian text, you dumb fucks. Pull out. Teach that to Britney Spears and her sister. My God. It's been there for thousands of years. So he fucked his sister, but he pulled out, so it's all good. Is basically what they're telling us. So the moral of the story is it's okay to have sex with your sister as long as you pull out. Well, thank you. Thank you, Sumerian text. Thank you, Annunaki. Thank you for clearing that up for us. We were all confused. Thank you. Of our son Ninurta, I will bring you word, Ninmah said to him softly. He is a young prince. He is ready for adventure, and he is ready to join you on earth. He is prepared. If you stay here on earth, let us, Ninurta, bring over our son, Enlil to her said. To the landing place, heroes were arriving. Rocket ships and sky ships were carried to the platform. From the pouch of Ninmah, the seeds were obtained. In the valley soils, they were sown. A fruit from Nibiru was to be grown here on earth. In the skyship, Enlil and Ninmah returned to Eridu. On the way, Enlil showed her the landscape and showed her the extent of the Eden. From the skies, Enlil to her explained the plans. I have designed an everlasting plan, he was saying to her. That for which all time construction shall determine I have laid out. That means like he's talking about like all time construction. He's talking about, see, that's a very interesting thing. That's something I've come across in my research and wondered about, but never been able to really prove. He says that for which all time construction shall determine I have laid out. And what I mean, I take that to believe from my research is this. Now I could be off the mark on this, but I'm going to tell you, I've come across that, but seeing that statement there is very telling. It seems that when you see the way that cities are laid out and the grids are laid out, and you can even look at official mainstream documentation on the civilization of Sumeria, the first civilization. And they got it right, even when you go look at like the Library of Congress, real milquetoast mainstream information, historical information regarding Sumeria. you find that it talks about how they had societal structure that we follow to this day set up, one shot, one try. Where'd they get that knowledge from? They had sewage systems. They had, credit systems. They had a very sophisticated society that's not much different from ours today. And that's what he's saying here. And so when you see new cities built and you see the way these grids are built and the way they put them on certain parallels and things, it almost gives you the idea that the reason why we see, the Statue of Liberty, Queen Semiramis, going back to this time, or we see, Washington, D.C. built the way it is and these obelisks everywhere. It's almost as if it's in the elite's playbook that from this ancient creed from the Annunaki that they have to continue to build throughout time in the way that Enlil had said that they had to build. Away from Eridu, where dry lands begin, I shall make my quarters. La Arsa will be its name, a place for directing it shall become. On the banks of the Buranau River of the deep waters it will be located. A twin thereof a city shall in a future arise. Lagash I shall name it. Between the two plans a line I have drawn. 6 leagues thereafter a healing city shall come into being. A city of your own it shall be, Shurabak. The haven city I shall name it. On the center line it shall be located. To the 4th city it shall be leading. Nibiru, key. Earth's crossing place I will name it. A bond, heaven. Earth in it I shall establish. The tablets of destiny it shall house. All missions it will control. The tablets of destiny. This could be what they've been looking for. So the tablets of destiny have been, I didn't know that, or have been stored on Earth. And that's what all this search for the Sumerian cylinder seals and clay tablets has been about. They're looking for the tablet of destiny with all these, basically these missions for what to do on Earth and in other places. They very well probably have found them by this point. With Eridu, 5 cities there shall be counted. To eternity they shall exist. On a crystal tablet, Enlil to Ninmah was showing this master plan. On the tablet, she saw more markings and inquired of them to Enlil. Beyond the 5 cities, I shall place a chariot, and I shall from henceforth build this chariot, a spaceship. From Nibiru to Earth directly to arrive. No, not a spaceship, a chariot place. This is talking about a Stargate. Because he's not saying he's going to build a spaceship itself, a chariot or a skyship like they refer to it. It says a chariot place, meaning a place that is itself a chariot to carry you from one place to another. This is a Stargate. Let me read it again. That's exactly what this is. Watch my film, The Sumerian Stargate, Norway Spiral film, Reality of Illusion Series Part 2. It's up on YouTube. It's also at my website, theglobalreality.com, because that's where I drew all that from. Because I had remembered, I had read about this somewhere. This is the first time I've seen it again in a very long time. Because I think I had seen, probably clips from this book posted on a website and stuff long ago, but never come across it again. And that's where I got that from was in that movie, because there are in that film I've got a picture of a Sumerian. It's like a big rock carving thing, and the guy's got a watch on. It just appears that he's in a fucking Stargate. So that's exactly what this is. So he's talking about the Anunnaki built a Stargate beyond the 5 cities. So if we determine exactly where these 5 cities are, and we know they're in the Middle East, we'd be able to determine where that Stargate is now, wouldn't we? Beyond the 5 cities, a chariot place I shall henceforth build. From Nibiru to Earth directly arrive. So meaning you can derive directly from Earth by just walking through this chariot place. There again, it's a portal. Enlil was responding to her. Why by Anu's plans for Lamu? Enlil was bewildered. Ninmah then understood. My brother, magnificent is your plan for the 5 cities. The creation of Shurabak, a city for healing, is my abode. For my own to be is a matter for which I am grateful. Beyond that plan, do not transgress your father. Do not offend your brother. You are as wise as you are beautiful, Enlil said to her. In the Abzu, Enki plan, it was also conceiving plans on where to build his house. For where would he prepare a hero's dwelling? Where in the bowels of the earth to enter? So Enki wanted to build his where? Underground in the bowels of the earth. Where the first underground, this is why people have found these, ancient underground tunnels under the earth. They were built there thousands of years ago. In his skyship, the extent of the Abzu was measured, and he did survey its districts very carefully. A distant land, the Abzu was, beyond the waters from the Eden it was away. A rich land it was, bursting with riches, perfect in fullness. Mighty rivers rushed across the region. Great waters there rapidly flowed. An abode by the following waters Enki himself established. To the midst of the Abzu, to a place of pure waters, Enki betook himself. In that land, the place of deepness, Enki determined for the heroes into the earth for the bowels to descend. The earth sputter Enki there established there within the earth to make a gash. So he cut open the earth to make a way to go, to make tunnels into the earth. By way of tunnels, they reached earth's innards, and they hoped to uncover its golden veins, meaning they hoped to dig into the earth and pull the gold out. Nearby that which crunches and that which crushes he in place, which we determined that was some big mover, some big thing, that machine that did the work of mining the gold. The gold-bearing ores to crunch and crush and to be carried by the skyships. To the landing place in the Cedar Mountains to be brought. Therefore, by rocket ships to the way station on Lamu to be transported. So they transported them from Earth to the way station on Mars and then to Nibiru. Makes total sense. On Earth, more heroes were arriving. Some to the Eden they were assigned, and some to the Abzu they were given tasks. Larasa and Lagash by Enki were constructed, and Sirbarak for Ninma he did establish. Within her therein a host of female healers were dwelling. In Nibiru, Ki, Enlil, a bond heaven earth was assembling. From there, all missions to command. So they were going to command all their new missions for their new, revitalizing and re-strengthening of Nibiru from Earth. That was how they were launching their operations. Between Iridu and the Abzu, Enki was journeying back and forth for supervising. On Mars, construction was progressing, and a way station for the heroes was starting to be constructed. A shar, 2 shars, which is a period of time, were lasted for the preparation. So it took the preparations, took them a few years. Then Anu gave the word. And now you'll see where this came from. Again, much older than Christianity. Anu gave the word. We know what the word is. On earth, the 7th day it was. A day of resting. At the very beginning was decreed by Enki on the 7th day. So the idea of the 7th day being day of rest goes back to the time of Enki. Not way before the Bible, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. God damn, get over it. At every place the heroes were assembled, a message from Anu and from Nibiru they beamed overhead. In the Eden they were assembled. Enlil was there in command. And with him Ninma, her host of young ones by her side, was assembled. So they're assembled in Eden, assembled there in getting ready for something obviously to happen next. Let's see how much we have left here. All right. It says it in the Abzu where the heroes assembled under the gaze of Enki they stood. With Enki was his vizier Izimud. Nungul the pilot was there too. On Lamu the heroes were assembled. With their proud commander Anzu they stood. 600 were on Earth, 300 on Mars were gathered. In all, there were 900. The words of Anu the king they all heard. Heroes of Nibiru, you are the saviors. The fate of all is in your hands. Your success shall for eternity be recorded. By glorious names you shall be called. Those who are on earth shall be forever known as the Annunaki. Those who from heaven to earth came. So that what we refer to as heaven, we now know to be Nibiru. Those who are on Lamu, Mars, Igigi it shall be named. Those who observe and see shall they be. So saying that basically they've been, observing and watching the activities from their way station on Mars all of this time. Unbeknownst to us, that could have been that structure that guy found on Google Earth or Mars Google Images type thing recently. All that is required is ready. Let the gold start coming. Let Nibiru be saved. So the next part is now this is the account of Enlil and Enki and Ninmah. So this starts getting into the sort of the, twisted love triangle stuff here. But very interesting, again, the history of these people who allegedly came down. Again, I'm not saying I 100% agree with all this or think it's all true or anything else. But a lot of this stuff is just hard to deny. It's hard to ignore. And I see a clear pattern that has been set before us by these gatekeepers of the phony truth movement. And anytime I see somebody constantly saying, don't look at this, don't look at that, don't look at this information over here, it's always made me want to look at it more. Don't look at the Black Pope stuff. Don't look at the secret right. Just focus on the left wing, all that stuff. It always made me go, well, there must be something to it. If they're telling us not to look at anybody's insinuating don't look at some piece of information that could be helpful to attaining a better idea of the grand scope of the big picture, then it should be looked at. You can decide for yourself what's bullshit and what's not. You don't need somebody telling you that. I mean, I just get sick of that. You have to allow people to look at this stuff and determine for what themselves is for true. And again, that's why I've read all this stuff. That's why I read William Bramley. That's why I'm reading this. Because I felt like for the longest time of the show, I was just kind of making broad assumptions about things and dismissing certain things without really giving them a fair shake. And so that's what this is about. And that's why we're reading this. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it. I know I certainly do. I gain a greater knowledge, a greater understanding of the things I already know. A lot of this I've already known, but it's just the clarity of being able to see a much wider picture of it. So it really is, I think, enjoyable, and I think it is very, very vital in understanding. This is the stuff that we've got to understand before we can understand why this whole world system that we're up against is in place. It's all a result of this stuff, and the gatekeepers have been there to keep you from ever finding that. And keep you from ever asking those more crucial questions. But I think now we're in a time where by hook or by crook, the information, it's all around us all the time. But if we, really the choice is up to us. Are we going to choose to open our minds, open our hearts, open our consciousness, and try to receive the healing energy and the information that the Creator is trying to channel to us? We have to open ourselves up to this. Our destruction, our Savior, it's not going to come on a guy in a white steed or the man in a mythological, craft. It's going to come from inside of us. We are the saviors. We are the ones we've been looking for. It's up to us. That's what these different incarnations of Ea and Enki were trying to tell us, be it Jesus or any of the other ones, Quetzalcoatl, on and on and on, that we are them and they are us. And everything that we've been told they are capable of and God is capable of, we are capable of, because we are of that. And that's what they don't want us to know. And we just got to keep pushing for it. We have the power, not the people that run the banks and the people that run this criminal death machine. That's what it is, a gigantic mafioso criminal death machine. We are the ones with the power, not them. And that's why everything is designed to keep us restricted from that power and to keep us from knowing it. But knowledge is power. And that's what we have to continue on for. let's get into where we left off last night of the Lost Book of Enki here. The last thing that we read, Heroes of Nibiru, you are the saviors. The fate of all is in your hands. That's where we left off last night. So we're going to pick up here on page 111 tonight, the Lost Book of Enki. Let's just jump right into it. Your success shall for eternity be recorded. By glorious names you shall be called. Those who on earth are shall... Excuse me. Those who are on earth shall now be known as the Annunaki. Those who from heaven to earth came. Those who are on Lamu are Igigi and shall be named. Those who observe and shall see, they shall be. All that is required is ready. Let the gold start coming. Let Nibiru be saved. Now, this is the account of Enki, Enlil, and Ninmah. So this is actually where we left off last night. I just want to back it up a little bit. Their loves and espousals, and by their sons, their rivalries. The offspring of Anu were the three leaders, and they were all born by different mothers. Enki was the firstborn son. A concubine of Anu was his mother. Enlil was born by Antu, the spouse of Anu, who was born the legal heir he became. Ninmah was born by another concubine, a half-sister of the two brothers she was. The firstborn daughter of Anu she was. By her title name Ninmah, this was indicated. Greatly beautiful she was, full of wisdom, one quick to learn. Ea, as Enki then was named, see, they clarify that for you. Ea was called, or Enki was called Ea back then. And later on, as you're reading this, I talked about this last night, you'll hear them, they'll be calling him Enki, but when they're on Earth, Enlil will address Enki as Ea sometimes. It's like a nickname. You know how sometimes somebody's name will be Frank or John or David, and some families will just name that kid Bubba. I mean, I don't know if a lot of you are from, I mean if that's just a southern thing from where I'm from down here in Redneckville, but where I come from, people do that, Hey, Bubba. Hey, Bubba, get over here, Bubba. And they'll just call him Bubba's. It's kind of, that's what it is, So he refers to Enki as Ea. That's kind of like a childhood name. As Enki was then named by Anu to espouse Ninmah, was chosen. And thereby their offspring would be the legal successor to the throne of Nibiru. Ninmah of Enlil, a dashing commander, was enamored. Oh, this is going to get into the incest is the best. Put your sister to the test stuff, isn't it? By him she was seduced. Into her womb he poured his seed. Uh-oh. I thought we had another thing where it said something about not pouring the seed into their womb. Uh-oh, he poured it. Uh-oh, he poured the seed in her. Ah, God, I just poured my seed in you, baby. And try saying that to your woman next time you're doing your business. Probably wind up with a snipped penis. A son from Enlil's seed she bore, and Inerta, the two have named him. Anu was angered by the deed. The dirty deed. Yeah, baby. As punishment, he forbade Ninmah to ever be the spouse of Enlil and made her be Ea's wife. Oh, that's fucked up. So, Ea, his bride-to-be, by Anu's decree, abandoned a princess named Damkina he instead espoused. Okay. A son and heir to them was born. Marduk, they named him. One in a pure pace born it meant. As for Enlil, a son not by espousal he had, a spouse by his side he did not have. It was on earth, not Nibiru, that Enlil found a wife. Ah, there you go. Okay. So they're on Nibiru, and they're kind of passing out wives and setting up who's going to be with who to continue the bloodline. But then it says here it wasn't on Nibiru that Enlil became espoused, meaning Enlil found and acquired a spouse. He acquired a spouse on earth. So this must have been what the Bible talks about with the Nephilim and mating with the daughters of man. And Lil, got down there and did some banging and created mankind and said, oh, we got a slave race. But unfortunately, because these folks who we're talking about here, obviously, if they're talking about the secession of their bloodlines, it's pretty clear these people weren't slaves, right? No, we're not talking about. So it was the arrogance of these, royal genetic seed bloodline Anunnaki. It was their arrogance to believe that they could create a slave race using their own DNA that would want to be or would be okay with their enslavement. It is not in our DNA to be enslaved. That's why it is natural to rebel against your slavery. Spiritual slavery, money slavery, job slavery, whatever it may be, relationship slavery. It is not within our construct to be enslaved. We didn't come from that. That's why we feel the need to break free from it. But they'll tell you you're crazy if you don't want to go along with it and be a good slave. The account is one of rape and exile, a love that brought forgiveness, and of more sons that were only half brothers. On earth it was summer. To his abode in the cedar forest, Enlil retreated. In the cedar forest, Enlil was walking in the cool of the day. In a cool mountain stream, some of Ninma's young ones that were assigned to the landing place were bathing. By the beauty and grace of one, Sud was her name, Enlil was enchanted. To his cedarwood abode, Enlil invited her. Oh, it's getting hot now. Oh, yeah. Here we go. We're going to get into some hot Sumerian text for you tonight here. Oh, yeah. It's going to get hot. To his cedarwood abode, Enlil invited her. Come partake with me in the elixir of Nibiru's fruit that grew here. To her, he said. Sud entered Enlil's abode, and he gave her a cup of elixir. Oh, what's in that elixir? Sud drank, Enlil drank it too. To her, Enlil, of intercourse he was speaking. Whoa, shit! Enlil is a pimp. P-I-M-P. The dude doesn't waste any time. So he rolls up on and sees this chick playing in the water. He ain't there 2 seconds. He's already inviting her back to the cedarwood abode. He hands her a cup of an elixir, and she doesn't even take more than a couple sips off this, and dude's standing over there with his cock out. Well, what do you think about it, baby? Are we going to have intercourse or what? Jesus Christ, slow down, dude. We get to know each other first before you go right into just, bam, cock is just out. No wonder humans are a bunch of fuck crazy maniacs. All we do is, Can I fuck it? No. Can I eat it? No. Can I kill it? No. Well, then I'm bored with it. Fuck it. I mean, seriously. No wonder we want to fuck everything that moves. We were created by a bunch of horny maniacs. We wonder why there's fucking 500 trillion of us on this planet. My God. The people that created us were fucking all the time. What do you think we want to fuck all the time? When we look at, oh my God, we have to have eugenics. You have to kill us. There's so many of us. Well, my God, well, maybe go talk to your bloodline ancestors about that then, Rockefeller. Fuck. This guy gives her a sip of some drink, man. She didn't get 2 drinks down. He's like, oh, wow, look. Now listen to this. Listen to what she says. I'm not kidding you. You can get a copy of this book. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to be perverted. This is what it says. So he was talking about intercourse, and it says, unwilling was the lass. Aye, unwilling was the lass. What is this, written by a fucking drunkard Irishman? Aye, Enlil was speaking of intercourse, but aye, unwilling was the lass. It's a bunch of pirates, pirate aliens. And look, I'm not kidding you. This is what she says. She says, my vagina is too little. It knows not copulation. To Enlil, she was saying. So she said her Her vagina is too tight. It knows not copulation, so she's never been penetrated. And, so he's like, so he's, he's totally, like wanting it bad now. He's like, oh shit, you're a virgin too? Fuck. Oh man, I'm good. Damn it. I saw you swimming around over there. And shit, I move fast, but damn. Doing her and Lil was kissing and was speaking. Unwilling still was the loss. My lips are too small. They know not kissing. And Lil laughed and embraced her.
Suck Satan's cock. Get that big scaly woodpecker down your gullet, baby. You're gonna like it. Oh, yeah. Oh, kiss it, yes. Oh, that's what I like. Oh, and Lil likes that. You didn't know that in Lil was also Lucifer, did you? Suck Satan's cock, baby.
His semen poured into her womb. This is dirty. Triple X Sumerian text. No wonder they don't want us reading this stuff. 5,000-year-old porn etched into rocks. Who knew, right? I sure as fuck didn't. That's what I'm saying. You get these letters from people all the time. Can you not cuss on your show? I want to allow my little kids to listen to it. This is an NC-17 show here for that reason. Because if I would have been reading this on air on some, FM station or something, or somewhere where I couldn't cuss, that wouldn't have been my fault. I didn't know all this stuff was in there. Literally, this is talking about my pussy lips are too tight and pouring semen into the womb. I didn't have any idea any of this stuff was in there. I'm sorry. I know I'm there's people out there that want to allow their kids to hear this information, but sometimes this stuff. That's what I don't know. You gotta let kids be kids. Get them. I understand it's important. Also, you want to start teaching these kids at a young age, but I'm just saying, man. Sometimes this stuff gets into dirty territory. It's not necessarily just me, up here ranting and raving and using cuss words all the time. My goodness. Every other page, somebody's pouring semen into somebody's womb, or like the other night, biting somebody's cock off and then puking up blood, and there's, tight vag and stuff in here. This shit is fucking filthy. But guess what? You know what's funny about it all? This is where all the teachings of the Lord came from, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is. Yeah. That's why they're trying to tell you, sex is sin and the devil. Don't have sex. That's why they do that. That's why those Christians do that. It's of the devil. Yeah, because they don't want you to know where we came from. Everybody knew our ancestors were a bunch of, fuck crazy maniacs just going through the galaxy, fucking everything they get their hands on. Look down there. They got some life forms. Let's see if we can go down there and fuck them. Take me to your leader. We are here to fuck your women. We're just horny guys just flying around in sky chariots going down and going, yes, we're gods. Yes, bow to us. Yeah, I'm a god. Yes, I am your god. And never do anything that says anything bad about your god. Always make sure that your God comes first. Don't have sex. Don't do anything like that. No. Also, do you have anything I could fuck, by the way? Thanks. Yes, I am your God. Bow to me. Now give me something to fuck. That's pretty much what these guys sound like. These guys went around doing. It's totally out of control. This is just filthy. To Ninmah, Sud's commander, the immoral deed was reported. Enlil, immoral one, for your deed judgment you shall face. So did Ninmah to Enlil in anger say. In the presence of 50 Annunaki, 7 who judge were assembled. 7 who judge on Enlil a punishment decreed. Let Enlil from all cities be banished. To a land of no return let him be exiled. In a sky chamber, they made Enlil leave the landing place. Abgal was his pilot. To a land of no return, Enlil was taken, never to return. Well, that's why they call it the fucking land of no return, isn't it? But you don't return from it. Idiots. My God. A little editing, please. You guys are etching this out on fucking, clay tablets and shit, and you had time to repeat yourselves? I mean, you had room to repeat yourselves? Wow. In the sky chamber, the two of them journeyed to another land was their direction. There, amidst forbidding mountains at a place of desolation, Abgal, the sky chamber, landed. This, your place of exile, shall be, Abgal to Enlil was saying. Not perchance have I chosen it, to Enlil he was saying. A secret of Enki in it is hidden. In the nearby cave, Enki 7 weapons of terror has hidden. Also, he hid 7 nuclear weapons in there. Oh, that was smart. This guy's going around banging your half-sister, getting her pregnant, and, you want to give him nuclear weapons? Again, we have to start coming to grips with the fact that it could be possible the people that we think are gods were very smart. Just as dumb and irrational and as any of our elite leaders are today, it sounds like, doesn't it? Kind of bumbling their way through things. Everything's new. That's why it seems that the spirit world is so much more removed from that reality. Because we're still talking about the physical plane here. But now that we get into the stuff where, these people have the technology to manipulate that as well, it's a totally different thing. From Alalu's celestial chariot, he had them removed. Take the weapons into your possession. With the weapons, you will attain your freedom. So was Abigail to his commander, saying, a secret of Enki to Enlil he did reveal. Then Abigail departed from the secret place, and Enlil was alone left there. In the Eden Sud to Ninmah, her commander's words were speaking. By Enlil's seed I am pregnant. A child of Enlil in my womb has been conceived. Ninmah Sud's words to Enki conveyed, the Lord of the earth he was. On earth he was supreme. They summoned Sud before 7 who judge. Will you take Enlil as your spouse? They asked her. She said yes. To espouse Sud Enlil from his exile was returned. By that, Enki and Ninmah to him gave a pardon. So they pardoned him and allowed him to come to earth. Enlil's official spouse was Sud. It was declared her name title to be Ninlil, Lady of the Command. She was bestowed. Thereafter to Ninlil and Enlil a son was born, Nanar, the bright one. Ninlil named him. He was the first of the Annunaki on earth to be conceived. One of Nibiru's royal seed on an alien planet was born. It was after that Enki to Ninmah was speaking. Come be with me in the Abzu. In the midst of the Abzu, in a place of pure waters, an abode I have established. With a bright metal, silver is its name. It is embellished. With a deep blue stone, lapis lazuli, it is adorned. Come, Ninmah, be with me. Your adoration of Enlil to be abandoned. So he's saying, okay, he's now, now you've banged my brother. You shit out one of his kids. Now, make it fair. And let's get some double incest going on over here and come back to my abode. Let me hit it too. And, pour the royal water in you and we'll just have us a whole little clusterfuck here. No wonder the people that run our planet are sick, incestuous, inbreeding bastards. Sounds like that's what these fuckers were. No wonder our elite interbreed and do all this stuff. My God, this is why. That's why everything in our realm on this earth is a blueprint that was taken and done somewhere else on another planet and transplanted here. Again, that's the answer to the question of why humans are the only thing on this planet that just doesn't fit. Because we were planted here by a bunch of fucking inbred, disgusting idiots, it sounds like. No wonder we got a bunch of inbred, disgusting idiots running this planet. Hello? Everybody figure that out now? My goodness. I'm glad we figured that out. I'm glad we now know where the source of this comes from. It all makes sense to me now. No wonder these fuckers are like this. Sick. Enlil spoke loving words to her of how he intended, of what he intended for her. He spoke sweet words. You are still my beloved, he said to her. He embraced her and kissed her, and she caused his phallus to water. She caused his phallus to oh shit. He starts like, oh, fuck, stuff's coming out of it. We haven't even done anything yet. Oh my God. Enki, his semen into the womb of Ninmah poured. Give me a son. Give me a son, he cried out. Damn, that's fucked up. Like this dude's like, pounding away and like he's rolling dice or something, Give me a son. Give me a son. Bet I'll six. Bet I'll six. Fuck, you rolling dice over there, dude? These people are fucked up. She took the semen into her womb. The semen of Enki impregnated her. Pastor Hage. One day of Nibiru was a month of earth time for her. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days of Nibiru, like months of earth they were. 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 days of month were completed. The 9th count of motherhood was completed. Ninmah was in travail. To a child she gave birth. The newborn was a female. On the banks of the river in the Abzu, a daughter to Enki and Ninmah was born. Enki, by a daughter, was disappointed. Kiss the young one, to him, Ninmah said. Kiss the young one. Enki to his vizier Ismid said, I desired a son. A son by my half-sister I must have. Again he kissed Ninmah by her loins and grabbed her. His semen into her womb again he poured. God damn, he didn't even wait. She just shits one out. He walks over there and goes, I wanted a son. You gotta wait a little while, dude. You can't just go sticking it in there right after she popped one out. Again, these are some dumb motherfuckers that created us. You gotta wait, dude. Again, she was with child, and again, a daughter to Enki she bore. A son by you I must have. Enki cried out to her again. Ninmah he kissed again. Thereupon Ninmah against Enki a cursing tittered. Whatever food he ate was poison in his innards. His jaw hurt, his tooth hurt, his ribs were hurting. Izimud the Annunaki summoned to Ninmah for relief, they were pleading. To distance himself from Ninmah's vulva, Enki was raised, he raised his arm and swore. One by one, she and his ailments removed from his curse, Enki was freed. So he started like going after the vag again, and she had to cold-blooded put a damn curse on his ass to keep her away from the vag. Make him sick so he wouldn't want it. Damn, dude, that's hardcore. Ninki, lady of the earth, the title was given to the child. By her and her concubines, Enki had 5 more sons. These were their names: Nergal and Gibal, Ningal, and Ningshadiza, and Dumuzi was the youngest. To earth, Enlil and Ninmah their son Ninurta summoned. By his spouse Ninlil did Enlil one more son have. To Nanar a full brother. Ishkur was his name. 3 sons in all did Enlil have. None by concubines were they born. 2 clans were thus on earth established. Their rivalries to wars did lead. So what that means is that, and this is really a very proper explanation of something I've had a question about for a very long time here. Enki ended up having all these sons, but it says in this last statement here that the two clans were thus on earth established, and their rivalries led to wars. So they established 2 clans on earth that were both based on in Lil and Enki's family. This was the same family. They created one tribe over here. Another tribe over here didn't tell them they were family and then pitted them against each other, and this led to wars. So this is proof that they've been pitting us against each other, man against man, family against family, since time immemorial. And why would they do this? They had to do this to set up a culture of war, a culture that established itself on that so that they could control it. That's unbelievable to me. So, and that makes so much more sense. This is why the elite have tried to wipe out these certain bloodlines in the Middle East, the Arabic bloodlines in Iraq and Sumir, because supposedly there are people there that still have this royal blood in their systems, and the elite for some reason see it as a threat to them. Because if some of these people that are descendants of these original Annunaki, of the Semitic Arabic bloodlines, they would be a challenge to the power structure. That's why this genocide in Iraq and the Middle East, folks, that's the real reason behind it. There's something there in those bloodlines that the elite's afraid of. They see it as a threat to their power. Unbelievable stuff. Well, this starts next with the account of the mutiny of Agigi. And I think Agigi, I can't remember what planet that said that was. It's one of the planets, Jupiter or Mars or something, but we'll pick up on that next time. We're going to leave it off here for tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the show and being here with us.